I'll make you along.
I know.
Okay. Okay.
That's one of the.
Okay. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. Let's start the planning board Thursday, April 9th, 2026. Tonight, just, for the record, Sarah is joining us as an alternate, but you can vote. Okay. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Are there any comments, corrections, or revisions that were circulated? If none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Kevin, Kathy, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. We had a work session this week with UBF Freight, right, on signage. Are there any work sessions scheduled in the next 2 weeks? Not yet. Okay. Very good. I don't know if this agenda was republished, but the first item on our agenda, 31 Corporate Circle, has been removed because of the change in the scope and the need to reapply to DEC. So we're going to skip over the first item. So the first item tonight on the agenda is Canandaigua Bank and an application for an area variance for signage. Somebody here from? Very good. If you could just give us, just the board, a quick review.
Sure. So I'm Jeff Ashline with Canadian National Bank. We are looking for an area variance for a second building mounted sign on our forthcoming branch. Two signs on the corner from each other. You may have seen the elevations. If you haven't, I can pass them.
Or probably pull them up on the screen.
The two signs do total the 75 square feet allowed. So as we could have had one, we are asking for a second sign just because of the location of our building, interior to the site, in the Wegmans Plaza on East Genesee Street. We're kind of tucked back in and we'd like the sign to face Genesee Street, passing by the retail, and then it will be shooting westbound towards Wegmans. So again, asking for a second sign as part of an area variance.
Can you just point on there where the sign is going?
And, sure. She's trying to do. It's not.
So,
Should be on the west side, right?
yeah,
Right.
so I believe it's B1. B2 is your sign that's allowed by right, that faces East Genesee Street, that's what allows that. B1 is the second sign, which faces the interior of the parking shopping center.
Right. Both signs are the same size. They're both internally illuminated. Nothing crazy, just asking for the second sign.
Okay, so tonight for this board, it's us making a recommendation to ZBA. I think it's been discussed and
I did want to add something which was unusual. We thought that we were going to be putting together a whole new multi-tenant sign package. But in fact, the multi-tenant sign package for the Wegmans Plaza was located. And it's in this resolution, it's 2011 multi-tenant sign package. So a review of the multi-tenant sign package overall it's not required anymore. So this proposed resolution, if the board thinks is acceptable, is that these signs, which we've discussed ad nauseum, would just be added to the multi-tenant sign package. And they would not, because there's already multi-tenant sign package, they don't need to come back. If they get the variance, it'll just be attached. By the way, and it'll be done. Is there any concern or discussion about that?
but it does not require an amendment to the multi-tenant sign packet.
It It does insofar as it's gonna be a new page and it's gonna involve only this building.
So is that a separate action then to formalize that?
Well, if this resolution is adopted, it is saying that it is going to be attached and made part of the multi-tenant sign package. That's that last end.
Okay.
And I think you were thinking maybe we should just have a last review when it comes back administratively.
Administrative review, right, just to formalize this, it's, especially now that I understand. About the multi-tenant. So-
Right.
Right. Okay. Does anybody else have? Any questions or comments?
When you say it's gonna be attached, is that for everybody or just for this?
Well, it's, the Wegmans has a multi-tenant sign package, it's a couple pages long, it's gonna be attached.
So anybody else coming in there can go with that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna read our recommendation. This is a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals to allow the following area variance. The addition of a sign on the west facade of the building, which will result in a second building sign for the premises, which will not be located on the facade to which the lot has an access drive. The applicant has shown that this is required and reasonable for identification of the building by the public traveling within the shopping center areas. The shopping center has various points of access and multiple circulation patterns within it. Accordingly, the safety of drivers in and about the shopping center will be better achieved by the addition of this sign. Provided there is a positive recommendation to the zoning board of appeals.
I guess positive action.
But,
Yeah.
Provided there is a positive action from the zoning board of appeals, the applicant does not need to return to the planning board. Rather, the full sign package as presented and last revised 3/18/2026 will be attached to and made part of the multi-tenant sign plan of Wegmans Plaza dated June 12, 2011, and is an amendment to said multi-tenant sign package as to the Canandaigua Bank building only, subject to a final administrative review by this department. Is there a motion? Sarah, Randy, all in favor? Unanimous. Positive recommendation.
Great, thank you.
Good luck.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Tonight, also, next on the agenda is Taco Bell. Also regarding a recommendation to ZBA for some signage. Hello.
Hello, everybody. John Bissett with Naparella Consulting. Good to see you all again. With me tonight is Mike McCracken with Hospitality Restaurant Group. And we are here tonight looking for referral to the zoning board of appeals for two items. The first is a third building mounted sign on a non-road frontage side of the building. The AD there on the screen to be facing the Dunn Tire, as well as a height variance for a mobile order pickup sign at this parking spot as well.
That's the proposed sign.
This is the marginal way facing sign. Then there's going to be the Bridge Street facing design. Parking lot is the next one, then the last one on the fourth page will be the Dunn Tire facing sign.
So this is technically an amendment to a site plan and signage layout that's already been approved, where you had two existing building signs and a monument sign, correct?
To my understanding, the sign package was never approved as part of the last planning board application, so we will be coming back with the full package
For the signage, okay.
once we have the area variance.
My misunderstanding. Okay.
Recommendation only on these, two recommendations, one regarding this sign and one regarding the
Directions.
directional sign. Can you show that, Julie?
Sure. Should be on the ZBA 2 sheet.
Will that be part of this packet?
All right.
Yeah, I believe it's before the sign package itself.
So you're going
In a separate document.
the wrong way.
Yeah, I think I turned in everything as one document.
Do it.
Yeah.
The ZBA package.
Yeah.
Go in there.
Should be the first big sheet we come to.
Known as Restaurant Square.
So this one here. So here's that south facing building and then mobile order pickup sign. Which me and Eric had talked about, this might have been an earlier version that we turned in, because we did end
Okay,
up,
did you resubmit another one?
we did resubmit the
Okay.
black
Yep. Is that
font on the white background.
Oh, that is a thing.
And if it's not.
Don't look at it.
But basically for our directional sign code, the font is supposed to be black or white. Yeah, that one was white background with red lettering, so.
Yeah, it is a smaller photo of it, here's that.
Okay, yeah, so John corrected it to meet code as far as the color is going. He's here tonight to ask for a variance for the height of it. The code says you're only allowed 3 feet tall. It does need to be updated with all the mobile pickup the restaurants have now, but we're not there yet, so John's doing that for variance.
So is that a one spot, sign for one parking spot or multiple parking spots or?
It would just be for the one, we're asking it for to be at that 6.5 feet, just so it matches all of the ADA parking signage.
But it's.
Well, where's it located relative to parking?
Is there a requirement?
Yeah.
For ADA?
But layout and
Or direction?
that work better.
Yeah, that should have everything shown on there.
I didn't see what it actually said.
So we have our ADA signage on these first 3 parking spots, and then the 4th one will be that mobile order pickup sign.
Question?
Yeah, so what is the height they're going
The full height of that is gonna be 6.5 feet, so. That's the highest point.
at? I thought ADA was 5 feet. So it seems like it's getting high. Do you know the ADA rule?
I thought the bottom of the sign was at that 5 feet. And then we usually leave that space for the van accessible parking, the small gap, and then the full height of the sign as well.
Yeah, I'm all right with it, as long as they're matching the other heights and they're in compliance.
Yeah. So I think that the kind of sentiment of the board, myself included, is the third sign that is not facing the street, it's not facing an access road. In a situation where you have a monument sign and 2 signs facing the public road. So you know, I'm not inclined to make a positive recommendation for a third building mounted sign. It's up to the ZBA at the end of the day, when they want to with it. That's kind of where my position is. It's consistent too with other projects and other recommendations, non-recommendations we made too. So
If I may real quick.
sure.
The thinking with the third sign is that because we are so close to Bridge Street now, the monument sign only being, I believe, 6 feet high at its height. Traffic coming from the entire direction won't necessarily see what the building is before they're right on, already at the driveway. We don't necessarily want people to have to very quickly hook that right into the parking lot.
Yeah, go ahead. Can I speak up just for a moment? Hi, Mike McCracken with Hospitality Restaurant Group. It's essentially the same sign package we asked for on Thompson Road, the same rear facing sign. And the same thought process, there, any cars heading north. Would be hard to identify the building from very far back, especially with the entire, the trees are sticking out, there's a lot going on there when you're going in that direction. And it was the same, basically the same, case we presented it on Thompson Road. And if you go in Thompson, you come up the circle, you can see that one sign that we were given the variant for, just for reference or.
I also thought we didn't do the logo, like I thought we didn't allow
If
the
it's,
image.
if it's within the square footage.
Total sign square footage, we're at about 109 square feet.
If nobody can see the sign from the front, then maybe what
Take
about
that
putting
one
a
off.
sign on either side, since your concern is people see.
Yeah,
it as
cause
they're
I mean,
driving.
traffic's going this way and you see them from both ends.
That is what that rear mounted sign is for traffic that's heading to. the
Yeah, so we're saying take the one off that faces directly at the road. 'Cause
Yeah, I
you're going a good speed right there anyway.
I think the thought was that it's an 80-foot long building, it's very nondescript on that side. So you end up with a very long building with nothing on it really, it's very nondescript, and that was the same thing that the ZBA had considered the last time. On Thompson.
Can I go back to the sign? Is it the same size as your other parking signs? Sorry, I went back to the parking one. In the image on the screen, it looked very wide and big. Is it the same size as your other parking signs, which are a standard?
Yeah, it'll be the exact same size.
Okay.
And
It's not, there's no size.
you're absolutely right, and we will include that when
And
we
it-
come back.
Looks big.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like 2/3 of the 6
Just
foot
the way the
8.
scale is.
Yeah, our standard detail for the ADA signage is, we have it sort of emphasized,
Mhm.
but yeah, we will include all of that.
I thought you did have it dimensioned at a point, maybe that dropped off, but yeah, just make sure it is 2 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's up to you guys.
I'm
I
not-
mean,
I think.
Oh, okay. But let's, you guys, let's talk on the whole, everyone can hear, I just wondering what you're thinking. Obviously.
I'm okay with resign. I don't know where. Rest of the vote is cool.
The Thompson Road Taco Bell, you know, even though it's kind of isolated in that corner, it is a little bit different of an arrangement when it comes to the road, right? And the access road around the backside as well, which is connected back.
And didn't we make isn't there only a one-way through the parking lot there? It's a one-way traffic pattern through that parking lot or something? I'm sorry, we see so many different ones that I'm having a hard time recalling exactly what case that was.
Believe this is the one that has the big, like kind of like a horseshoe on the backside for the drive-through. I
Right.
think the parking lot itself is, I believe it's a two-way traffic throughout the parking lot.
To get into the site.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, monument sign there.
Well, that's the only
Yeah.
access. to
There's
the
a
site.
monument
Is the way.
sign and the other sign at the front, and then there's a sign at each end, so
Mhm.
like, you have one at the front already, you don't need the other one.
And the monument sign that you currently are proposing is right at the right end, correct?
It would be just after the drive-through if you're going from Dumbfire, and because it is a right in, right only, or right in, right out only driveway. Don't necessarily want to miss people coming through there, because this would obviously be the preferred drive-through traffic direction.
Well. I'm also not inclined to make the recommendation. It's consistent with the way we've approached a lot of applications. To tell you what, I mean, I'll read the motion and we can, if there's any comments to it, we can talk about it. But I'll read the motion that we're proposing tonight. So This is a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals with respect to the variances requested by the applicant as follows. 1. This board recommends that the directional signage, which delineates the mobile pickup parking, be granted to allow the sign to be 6.5 feet above grade, where the code allows only 3 feet above grade. The board sees this variance as practical and necessary where a vehicle driving customer utilizing the mobile pickup parking area may safely and reliably identify the parking space for its intended purpose.
And
I
I
don't-
think that we
I don't
should
think it's-
add that the size is the same as the other parking sign.
Size, yeah, sign, directional signage to match the other
Parking
direction.
signs,
the other parking signs.
the ones that they're matching the height of, match the size.
There are the other directional signs that are like the enter exit.
The parking
Mm-hmm.
signs, that's why I said that. They want to match the height of the parking signs, match the size of the parking signs.
Okay, so signage to match the height of the other parking signs. Okay, I don't think that,
Should we vote on this to make it less confusing?
yeah, so is everyone in agreement to that first part of the resolution?
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
so that's good. So the second part of the motion reads, the applicant is seeking a variance to allow for an additional attached sign on the southerly facing face of the building, where the same is not permitted by code, as it is not attached to a facade facing access road. This board recommends that this variance not be granted. This board finds that the location of this building in very close proximity to Bridge Street by a prior variance granted on Bridge Street. Straight that place. The overall branding of the building, visibility of the permitted attached sign facing Bridge Street, a permitted monument sign, as well as the directional sign, contributes to reasonably identifying the business use in a simple manner and consistent with the intent of the zoning code with respect to signage. This recommendation is consistent with the board's position regarding many buildings where an applicant desires but does not need additional signage for either public safety or regional identification. So,
Do you feel that it's necessary to add anything about differences that you see in the Thompson Road circumstance?
On the thought of the opinion, I'd be more inclined to allow that sign if the monument sign wasn't there, because having two signs on one side to me seems oversighting. If they were willing to give up
the monument signs,
they'd be fully
yeah.
willing
Yeah.
to do it.
If the concern is that that's not as visible and you need more visibility on the building, what's your position on the monuments? Although we still, that's where the building number is probably mounted, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It's not.
It'll be in the corner of the building.
So
But isn't it also where they're gonna be coming in the right in only?
Yes, and our thinking was that the Marginal Way side as well as the Bridge Street side are the signs that we can build by right. While staying within that 120 square feet allowable signage, just having that little bit of extra identification so we're not getting people to make that very quick right turn in.
But I
I
mean,
mean, the ZBA could. It would be up to the ZBA if they want to say, hey, we don't want to give you that sign, give up that sign, and if that's just a compromise, that's up to them to do.
right,
Even though it's a sign of right, but when you're asking for something, you can give something, but that's up to them.
I mean, I think the reasoning is pretty clear, the number of points, like I mentioned, it's the proximity to Bridge Street, the overall branding of the company on the building, the visibility of the signage that's already on Bridge Street, the fact that you have by right monument sign as well as the directional signage is consistent with the way that we approach signage. So I guess we could rephrase this to say we would support an option where you omitted the monument sign in exchange for a third building sign. I think we're comfortable with that if the ZBA agrees, but otherwise, the motion would be two building signs facing the street and monument sign. So then you take it up.
Can I just say one thing, that as far as the branding goes, that building is not a prototypical Taco Bell. They're typically gray with big purple banding around them. They're not made of brick. They're not nearly as, this building's almost $200,000 more to build than a typical prototypical Taco Bell that's gray, looks like a shoebox, and it's got purple banding and purple highlights. We went ahead when we first designed it for the town. We felt that it was more appropriate for DeWitt to have a brick building. So this building in particular is not what brand, matter of fact, they fight with us every time we go to them and say, hey, we want to build a brick building. They're saying, well, this doesn't look like any Taco Bells in the country. So I just wanted to lay that out there. It's far from prototypical Taco Bell. There isn't a lot of branding on the building, not much color.
I think the intent of our ordinance is simply not to oversign. We don't want oversigning. And there can be a tit for tat on this one. Don't think, my opinion, I'm not a traffic engineer. But if you have to sign on the building, it's gonna give much more impact to the passing motorists. To turn into that. Just then the minors.
Addition.
I don't hate it. You know, I don't think it's it's kind of a conundrum a little bit. Because we wanna, you know. Fall in place with what we've done and stay consistent, what we've done before. That makes sense as well.
Is there access from Enterprise Parkway? And Wide Waters Parkway?
So just from Enterprise, I believe, there's no cut through from the entire property. And I think another thing as well is I think originally we had the building way back here in the property, and I think between everything, we moved everything all the way up to the front, sort of to align the building with this walking corridor. And typically in a Taco Bell, you see this entrance being the main entrance, especially for pedestrian traffic. This entrance really is more so for the parking lot entrance, and it just kind of helps direct pedestrians into the building.
Where do you want them to enter? Point?
Yeah, this sort of, it's called the portal side of the building, yeah.
Point, can't tell what end you want them to enter.
So entering from the Bridge Street side.
But nobody else is gonna enter from that side.
The parking lot would come around and the sidewalk would allow them to come in from the side, but
But they're not going to. Where are they gonna enter? You want them to, where are you funneling them to? The front, like the top of the page?
well, there's the two entrances. It's convenience for both.
So like
sides,
this
but
can point to the two entrances for me.
This is the parking lot side entrance through this vestibule here. And then this is the entrance that we would be directing, you know, pedestrians kind of see that as they're walking by. And they come in through the front there.
The 3 signs that you're proposing for the building, are they all the same size?
No, they're different styles as well. The one on this front side, it's the Taco Bell with the bell in the middle. It's a little bit smaller profile. This is the side that's facing the Dunn Tire.
Okay.
And then there's a similar sign on the side
Yeah.
facing original.
So it's,
So earlier you mentioned that you don't want people to like take a quick right turn. You know how, can you go back to the plan that shows the driveways? Thank you. Like you don't want people to make a quick right turn, so you want to add another sign to the bottom side of the building towards Dunn Tire, right?
It would be this side, this tower here.
Yeah, but if they don't have to make a quick right turn because they can make the next right turn and just loop right into the parking lot as everyone else is coming in too. So I don't think that there's a problem of missing it. You have 2 shots at getting in. You can make that right turn, or 100 feet later, 100 yards later, you can make the next right turn.
Well, I think that's the argument would be is that,
Yeah.
only if you know it's the Taco Bell.
Right.
But
You
you're
don't
gonna
know-
pass the monument sign, the front of it sign, and then when you're turning, you're gonna see another sign on the right. When you turn, it's gonna be on your right.
So you're not turning, you know it's your person.
you're gonna know that the Taco Bell is there because you're obviously looking for Taco Bell. I think, like you're gonna pass 3 signs before you make one of the right turns.
But there's no street sign saying Taco Bell entrance after the Taco Bell.
Yep.
Someone who's unfamiliar with the area.
Yeah, people
could
might go
Yeah.
past and.
not understand that there's another rear entrance.
Right.
You turn the middle of the road, like every single
That's the one.
No,
person.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but if
I'm
you're
just
driving,
playing-
you're not familiar with it, and
But
that's
that's
busy
what-
street.
That's where it would tell you to turn though. It's, it would tell you both of those turns probably in Google Maps. I mean, I think that it's just a lot of signs for a building. That's a restaurant.
Yeah, I
Got
agree.
Times on their other building.
I think the intention of is to just cut down on the visual clutter. I think there are plenty of restaurants that don't have 4 signs that are successful.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to put forward.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I'd like to put a pin on this if we
Yeah.
can, so I'm not sure where everyone is currently standing on this, but I wanted to just read this kind of a amendment to the second part of the resolution. Hear me out. This board could support the additional building sign if the monument sign was eliminated. And the board does not consider, by comparison, the Thompson Road Taco Bell site as a true comparison due to the placement of the monument signage, the entrances, the circulation, the configuration of the site, and the presence of that large hotel sign on that corner.
Mhm.
End quotation. I think that, yes, it's a Taco Bell. It's also in a similar part of town, but it's a different parameter, different visuals, different sight lines. So I have a hard time using that as a precedent
I agree.
for it. Okay, any questions or comments? I think we vote on the second part. Okay. Based off
With
of.
the beginning.
With the beginning as
was read.
as I had read, so not in support of a third sign and a monument sign.
Mhm.
And then appending a section that we could support a third building sign, provided the monument sign is eliminated.
And so you're saying, do we want to send number 2 as a recommendation to the board?
To the ZBA, yes,
I agree.
so. Well,
Number 2,
take a vote, yes, those in favor
to send it to
As
CBA.
a not, as not approving it.
is not approving it,
No. And I'm not a yes vote.
yeah. All right, one more time, who was in favor? Jenny, Doug, Randy, Bill, and Sarah, okay, not in favor. Kathy and Kevin, okay,
Of the resolution.
of the resolution, the second part of the resolution,
Correct,
you're supporting the first part of the resolution,
correct.
okay? Okay,
No, there's only one, well, which part of it, I mean, 1 or part 2
We already voted on 1,
so we.
so now it's 2.
the second part of the resolution.
To recommend that we don't recommend it, basically.
Like you like the sign.
Yes,
You're going
Yeah.
against the written thing.
yes.
You're not.
Yes.
We're not voting for it.
Okay, understood.
Double
I'll make
negative
sure
is
that's
tough.
reflected.
Okay. Okay, good luck at ZBA, thank you very much. Okay, last on our agenda tonight is a concept review for Raising Cane. So as part of the concept presentation tonight, if you could take 10 minutes or so, just to give the board a general overview of what the project is, what you're presenting. This is for some of us, most of us, the first time we've actually met you and heard from you about the project, so.
Absolutely,
Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
introduce yourself.
absolutely. while we're pulling that up, I'm Karen Majanowski from Bowler Engineering, joined by Nan Wiesel, project manager on behalf of Raising Cane's, and FL Gorman from Harris Beach, Martha, land use attorney for the project. We do have some team members online as well from Raising Cane's and ADA Architects who you might hear chime in, especially for architecture when we get to that part. But the site we're here for is 3159 Erie Boulevard East, which is currently developed as a Taco Bell restaurant with drive-through. So talking more Taco Bell. If we can flip to the other aerial, we'll just zoom out a little to show more of the context. But the parcel is its own parcel of about 1.5 acres in front of DeWitt Town Center.
Is this one better for you? Or would you have the other?
Oh, that's perfect. So you can see DeWitt Town Center that wraps around behind us, and access points today, common shared access from Erie Boulevard East into the site, and the parcel has shared access off of that within. What we're looking to do is demolish the existing restaurant and drive-through and propose a 3,500 plus or minus square foot Raising Cane's restaurant with drive-through. If we can flip to this, if there's a rendered site plan in there, that would be perfect. There we go. We can just zoom out a little. This shows our proposed site plan and redevelopment. So you can see the location is generally the same as the existing restaurant that's there today, as well as the flow of the drive-through and the location itself. So we did pay close attention to have the drive-through to the rear and side of the building, as you can see with Erie Boulevard on the left side of the page there, similar to how the site is laid out today. We're not proposing any new access points to the main road. We're staying within the access off of DeWitt Town Center, and we will have 2 access points to that. The main reason for that, for maneuverability, is the first one will line up with the existing drive aisle and crosswalk that are here. As you come into the site, you have the option to turn right through the drive-through lanes or continue on to park. But the spacing and location of these 2 access points to the plaza was well thought out for our truck. We did provide a truck turn template so that you can see how that works to go in and out of the site itself. We're sitting at about generally the same front setback from the road as the existing restaurant, and we were able to be within the required setbacks for the site, both for our building and canopies, parking, pavement, those types of things. In looking at the parking requirement itself, it's pretty robust. So you have to factor in the square footage of both the building and the patio area. So this area up here, thank you, will be an enclosed patio area so that it can be used more throughout the year. So it will have doors that can roll up, but it also provides additional seating since we don't have too long of a patio season here. So factoring in the square footage of that plus the restaurant itself comes out to 68 required parking spaces, which is a very large number, and more than we need. Usually mid to low 30s for parking is good. So we are proposing 36 parking spaces here and are noting that as a variance that we would like a positive recommendation to the zoning board. Again, we don't need the parking. We're below the maximum lot coverage, so we're good there. But we see the benefit in the green space rather than building out more parking that we don't need and adding more impervious coverage. And then along the lines of vehicles and looking at the drive-through, so the code seems to be specific to stacking requirements, focused on 1 lane. So this will have a dual drive-through with 2 lanes for busier times. Otherwise, the main lane would be used, but we do have more stacking because of the configuration and setup for the dual drive-through. So we have in the inner lane where there's less stacking, 6 vehicles from point of pickup, which would be here, back to point of order. And then from point of order back, we have 4. So code-wise, we're okay with the amount of stacking from pickup to order. And then we are noting a variance from order point back where 6 are required, we have 4. But if you look at both lanes, we have double those numbers and you get an extra vehicle or 2 in the outer lane since that lane is longer. As far as the rest of the flow of the site, so you can enter from right here. And then once you're in the patio, there's also entry points in where those doors are, and then another outside entry point as well. We kept our ADA parking as close to the front. We have very nice green space out there, and as things progress, you'll see their landscaping is beautiful. They do a great job. They pay close attention to that. So when we get to that level of detail, we'll be excited to show you that. We are keeping the trees on the perimeter, so we are showing those here because they do exist. So I'm sure you're familiar with driving up and down the mature trees that are there. So we're keeping those and the green space, an ample pavement setback from the property line. And then we do have sidewalks along the road frontage that come down and around in and eventually end up in the crosswalk at our site, similar to how it does today. There are mobile order pickup spaces next to the ADA up there. And then this is our dumpster enclosure to allow for employees ease of access for that, as well as ample room for the truck to pick that up. And then the remainder of the site is the parking. I mentioned the quantity, and the site overall is within the maximum allowable coverage. So we would be seeking your positive recommendation to the zoning board for the number of parking spaces and stacking spaces from the order point back at this point. So you may not be familiar with Raising Cane's itself. This would be the first one in the area, which we're excited about. They serve lunch and dinner. They do not serve breakfast. The hours were submitted in our narrative, so you will see that they are open later into the night to help serve people who may be working in medical field, emergency responder, those types of fields as well. There's over 900 locations here in the country now. So we're definitely excited to be bringing it to this area. And then if we want to flip to the building elevations, which should be next.
Sorry, where's the nearest one to us?
So probably from here, if we were to go in Pennsylvania, would be the closest distance wise. There's some in Lower New York, but from this point, that would be the closest. So we are very proud of the architecture of the brick. A lot of attention and detail went into this. They are used to doing brick buildings, and we know that the town loves brick here, so we think it will fit in well. We are showing all 4 sides that will be visible based on the location of this site and having access and visibility all around it. This is the patio area here with the doors I mentioned that can roll up. This one tower is part of their One Love program, and typically that would be red, but we wanted to mute that back, and so we have gone ahead and made that brick in looking at the town code and trying to fit in. We are showing signage. We're not there yet. That will follow, but we did want to show what this will look like. Overall, very nice building materials. As I mentioned, mostly brick, there's rooftop screening that's there, natural colors. And we're happy to answer any questions on that as well. With that, I'll turn it over to the board and any comments or questions.
Could you go back to the site plan? So maybe you could just talk a little bit further, a little deeper about what your actual parking needs are and how you kind of calculated that.
Certainly. So as I mentioned, they've done close to 1,000 of these now within the country. So they do have a good handle on demand for parking needs. That sweet spot is the low to mid 30s, which we are at here. About 3/4 of the business is drive-through. So to have more parking than that just isn't warranted based on all the history and the data that they have.
And you said that the outdoor patio, the way that was calculated, that is included.
It's included. So the square footage of the patio is in our calculation for square feet, which gets us to the 68 required number.
You have plans for a bike rack?
Yes,
Is it on there or just?
not yet.
Okay.
Again, at our initial stage here,
Yeah.
but definitely all of that detail will be added as far as that goes. Landscaping, lighting, utilities, all the rest.
And what material do you have around the dumpster?
Trex,
Material around the dumpster?
it's Trex.
Trex. I didn't, she heard you. Sorry, hey.
So
Yeah.
you don't have an elevation of that at this point, do you? The dumpster?
Of the dumpster itself, no. We might have some example pictures, but if you go to the elevations, it has all the materials and then, height wise, it's typically about 10 feet to screen everything.
I think what was confusing me when I first saw that is the outdoor patio enclosure, kind of the rolling overhead doors. And the way that it's depicted in the plan. I understand it now, but so when those doors are open, what's happening with the facade of the main part of the building? What are the materials that are carrying through behind it?
Sure, I'll let Dusty jump in if he's on. Thanks, Dusty.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, beautiful. So behind that is just going to be more of what you see on the outside. It'll be more storefront and brick. That is internal to that. Typically, we don't enclose the patios. It is a, storefront system around the corner. The wood composite material you'll see above the patio, that'll come through, and there'll be some brick accents, and you kind of get this visual from outside straight to the inside to the operations and everything going on inside, kind of that inviting feeling. So when those doors are open, you'll have more of that visibility.
So I'm sure there are a number of questions, and actually I didn't bring all my notes, so I don't have them all prepared, but I know that one of the items is with regards to the town code and this and signage itself. That's gonna be something that'll be continued discussion. Per the town code, this signage, branding, murals, those are all part of signage. It's all what's allowed, by right, by the code, and anything above that would require variance. So, one of the other big requirements is the position of those signs relative to the roof line. So maybe you could just clarify where that Raising Cane sign is there above the door. What's it mounted to?
Screening?
Yeah.
Is that screening that's blocking the rooftop items, or is that a porch, or?
It's
Yes,
screening.
that is all parapet with a breakup of material. Above the sign is a perforated metal screening. It allows airflow, but it doesn't allow very much visibility through there, and it is all basically above roof line to hide the rooftop equipment.
So I think you said the word parapet when you were saying that, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah, so, I mean, the code says that the signage has to be below
1 foot
1
below
foot
the
below the eave or the roof line, and I don't think that would be considered the roof line unless it was part of the same materials. The brick would want to carry over in order to kind of continue that,
yeah,
in order to achieve that.
or else move, yeah,
Yeah.
but then you wouldn't be lined up with the door, but
Have you counted your full square footage of all your signage, including your dog and your big mural and all that?
So we don't have the current number right now. We will come back with all of that because we have made modifications along the way in looking at the sign code. We know we don't need it. We have pared it back a little or tried to. But we'll have a full sign package that will have square footage, number of signs. We understand the mural and the artwork pieces too should be included.
I'm not sure that people will know what that one is. Just so you're aware.
We can go back to red.
I don't know, so you know what it was when it was red either.
It's typically that.
It's typically this, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another discussion that's gonna ensue is the number one. If it's part of your branding, like you said, it's one love, it's part of the company recognition, then it really is a sign. And it would want to be part of the calculation that we're talking about. I think that's gonna be one of the struggles with that element.
Even if it's brick,
Well,
just a part of the building at that point.
We've
But
actually,
it's,
it actually has not come up. It's something
Yeah.
that I think we're gonna have to figure out.
yeah, we're gonna figure that.
I do know that, I cannot think of a time that, from an architectural standpoint, that something like that painted on brick has ever been approved. Like that, I can't see what it is, I'm sorry. A dog,
The
another
dog.
dog?
Panels
Yeah.
here,
Yeah, that thing.
What-
Yeah,
Thought painted.
yeah, those are painted.
What is it?
panels,
What type
Little
of
hand.
panels?
Oh, like a decal
Metal.
on the wall or something?
yeah.
Yeah,
Metal
they're metal panels that just stick out a little bit from the brick. And that's our, we call it our One Love Heart. It tells the story of where, Raising Cane's came from, and the story of how we got to here now is a lot of the owners' background. What we normally put there is a big, beautiful, red, colorful Cane's mural that a lot of people love to come and take selfies and stuff in front of and just say, hey, like, this is the next one we came to, we're here in DeWitt. And we, like Karen was saying, we've kind of gone through the signage code a little bit. We understand that a lot of this is more than wanted, and we tried to reduce down, blend in, modify that effort. And like right now, when we come back for signage, we'll be talking about that mural versus this One Love Heart. And so we're showing the heart right now.
I understand that. I think, again, the challenge for us is that we have a code. We gotta follow the code, and maybe some of these are gray areas in the code, but we're gonna have to require some deliberation.
Well, just think if we ask to have you put it on the inside, you're gonna make sure that they go in and maybe order something to take their picture.
Oh, we've got plenty on the inside too.
That's what I'm thinking of right now, like it's like.
what about a monument sign? Are you proposing one? I know that one exists today,
Yes, it would be in the same spot base that's there today,
so you reuse the base, but.
if we can. Yeah,
Because I'm not sure that Taco Bell one meets code. Basically, you're allowed 20 square feet for the sign panel, and the tree 6 feet tall. It's
Part of the architecture.
But I think the location.
yeah.
And we updated our code recently, and that's why.
Well,
So going back to that, what you have there.
Yeah.
Site plan. So the sidewalk
there's no. There's no other way to get into the site other than go across the grass or walk around. Around the building to the other side, right?
Yes, because it's a significant grade change.
This is what I see.
I just imagine there's anybody who's walking down the sidewalks gonna take a shortcut right through the
Down the hill.
beautiful landscape.
Yeah.
Just saying, but
Well, they could go to the parking lot.
Well, there's crosswalk at the lake, right?
There is,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't show there, but.
Oh, that's almost identical to this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's very similar. Yeah. Looks like in some places you actually have a One Love sign,
A lot
The
of them,
building.
yeah, the white one love sign.
not just the number one, is that?
I think they have the number one also. We're just
Also.
not seeing the other side of that one.
Hold it back a little.
So we had a pre-concept meeting and they did tone down the signage from what was.
Well,
Yes.
A bypass lane for the drive-through, that's something you ever do or find a need for? I think that came up on one of the banks we did.
Yeah,
So in this particular location, we don't see the need for it, so rather than add even more pavement, that would probably put us out of compliance for that. We don't see the need for a bypass, no. The second lane sometimes could serve as one if it's not operational, but we don't see a need.
well, no, because it's this area here too that connects you back to get out. It's like the, oh my God, I want to get out of here lane. And it could be blocked, right? Because where do you pick up?
Right here.
Mhm.
You're talking about an escape lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they also have a very focused menu, so there's not 30 things
Waiting.
on the menu. So there's exactly not a lot of waiting. It moves quick.
Like what is the standard customary time to order to pick up?
From order to pick up in the drive-through, about 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
How does the far lane, I'm just curious, actually get their food? Does somebody like bring it out to them?
Someone walks out.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so this is an actual door.
For both lanes, somebody walks out.
Someone walk out for both.
Sort of like Chick-fil-A, right?
There's a canopy as well. for-
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you said that canopy,
In the winter.
you no longer need the variance for it's without the setback.
That's correct, yeah. So this was the pinch point
But
here.
here.
Right there.
Yeah, me too.
Was there a question about the canopy and the setback?
That's what we were
Is there-
just discussing. It no longer needs the variance.
And it was a question if a canopy would even need it, but we pulled it back so that it meets it regardless.
So it was a freestanding canopy.
Correct.
So I think we settled on that it would need the variance if it was. But now that's not even an issue.
Right.
I know there was some concern with the stacking overflowing in this entrance. So maybe if you could provide some data on
Certainly.
trips or something to kind of speak to that.
And kind of like the ones from Pennsylvania, I just feel like northern states have more drivers than share rides or walkers, pedestrians, bicycles, like you said, you know, a lot of the season there's not outside weather, so everybody seems to have a car or vehicle here, so we tend to have more vehicle traffic than other states.
We'll pick a similar climate.
Yeah.
Traffic for that.
Mhm.
Is there a mobile pickup, mobile orders?
Yes, so those are these spaces right here.
Probably gonna need a variance in height. May have heard, may have heard that.
Took that note earlier.
Absolutely.
Is the site lighting changing?
Yes, yeah, we'll be upgrading new fixtures. Yeah. Yep.
We'll submit all that detail.
So yeah, the lighting, the landscaping.
Yes.
That'll all come.
Yes.
The submission. Spreadsheets, photometric.
Yep. Do you have any awnings? I'm just looking at a lot of your other buildings, so I just didn't see it.
We, I think we only have one awning, on this particular building, and one above the pay window. But with the three-season room, it's less awnings on this one than other locations.
Before I forget, if you could on your elevations, just note where your rooftop mechanical is,
Yeah.
just.
No
Even if
problem.
it's changed, we'll be able to check off a
So,
box.
so where is the awning? Right there to the left, and what is it? On the left over the windows there, over your ordering window, is that the only awning?
Yes, we have that one, which is the pay window. It's a metal awning with some metal tiebacks, and there's a wood composite underside and a few lights under it. And I think our only other second one is above the entrance on the opposite side of the building, where the canopy, three-season canopy doesn't actually quite reach. So yeah, right there. And those are our two.
Can you just tell me the material again?
They are metal with metal tiebacks, and then on the underside of it is a wood composite board that matches the building and the dumpster.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Did somebody already ask about a monument sign? Sorry.
Yes.
What was your answer?
We would keep the same location that Taco Bell has today.
Okay,
And Eric said just check the new regulations, because it might have been an old one.
got it. All right, so I guess along those lines, there's a suggestion that could you develop a signage plan that shows signage that is basically in conform? What would it look like in conformance with the code? Square footage, locations, position, as a point of discussion.
Wow, you really went off branding for the Raising Cane's at the Dallas Cowboys.
That's not standard.
Huh?
That was not standard.
No, it's white, and blue.
But if you want to give us a giant star entry, we'd happy to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I can't remember if we mentioned this before, but the PJD for the wetlands, I know that it just changed recently, or they're in the process of
Watch the
being
Ontario
appealed.
video.
Yes.
But to kind of check a box on our end, if you could
They'll do it.
submit for that.
Okay.
I'm not anticipating that you have any issues with it, just to kind of.
Did we want to talk about, we had a kind of a question for you on the parking, cause I think we all appreciate that, like, we don't want you to make more parking than you need to either, and we're just kind of like thinking through our own code and whether or not it's like appropriate generally. You said there were low to mid 30 spaces is the
sweet spot.
seems to be the right amount. And what's the breakdown of like, how many of those cars are for employees versus kind of like the customers? We're just trying to get an understanding of
Sure.
what's happening and
So,
how much parking do these people?
An average shift is 12 to 13 employees.
Okay.
Whether or not they all drive is, so it's all shared parking.
Okay.
But that.
So it's like a third for the back of house and then 2/3 roughly for customers.
Correct.
Okay. And the highest amount of like your busiest time is kind of 20 spaces per customer or plenty or just enough, or how does that? usually-
20 spaces
Yeah.
as far as being full
Yeah.
at a peak hour.
Well, if say you've got 32 parking spaces, or 36,
Yeah.
then 12 of them are for the back of house, so that kind of 24 for.
Yeah, that's sufficient.
Okay.
Yes.
And of those 24 are some of the 24 handicap, and some of them are also your to-go pickup spaces, or
Those are
those
counted
on
in the
top of that?
24.
They're
They're
counted
counted
in.
within. Yep.
Yeah.
How many seats are in the dining area?
There's 45 inside and 19 on the patio.
So you don't typically have like the whole restaurant full of indoor diners.
Typically not.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Even on
highest-
like your busiest
The
day.
highest demand would be the drive-through.
Like, it looks like a sports bar kind of place, so even like during a game, you guys don't get like BW3s is what I'm thinking of, because it reminds me kind of that.
There could be a
When I'm in a different state.
I think people are carpooling at that point.
Yeah.
So, from a parking standpoint, yeah. And the calculation, I mean, we took the absolute worst case, like every part of the square footage inside and patio.
Could you give us at some point the square footage of the dining area?
Yes, and we submitted a fixture plan so that, I mean, that's this, but yeah, we'll make sure that that's labeled on there.
Is there a bar?
No,
No, you guys don't serve alcohol?
no.
Okay.
That'll help.
You won't be there after a game, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You touched on most of my questions.
I'm kind of unfamiliar, but this is my own curiosity, is there, do people hang out here? Do they get food and leave? I mean, are they, you know, you go to some like a Starbucks and there's people camped out there all day long drinking their lattes and sitting around or whatever. I mean, so it's generally, is it you get your food and your.
It is quick serve, so
Yeah.
yes, I mean, we can't control that.
Yeah, I know,
What
I get
everybody
that. I
does, but
understand.
I see what you're saying with a Starbucks like that.
They're gonna let
known
you
for
hang
that,
out there.
but
They're gonna let you hang out there.
Oh, wow. I just, you know, like they have Taco Bell cantinas.
Yeah.
Where people hang out and they spend time and, right? Like, I didn't know from
They
my
don't
own.
put
I don't-
receptacles at the booths, place to plug in, that's how you control that.
Yeah.
They don't serve coffee.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There's only 5 menu items. Chicken, french fries, coleslaw.
Let me get my chicken and get out of here,
Special
okay?
sauce, soda.
Yeah.
Really?
and
Yeah,
toast.
that's it. Yep.
With white bread.
So, and then they have timers on the pickup window, so you know how fast they go through.
You have all the data.
Minimal done well, right? That's what you're.
Yes.
Well, okay.
Where are you guys coming out of, Albany or Rochester?
Our offices are in Albany and Rochester.
Yeah, where are you from though?
Albany.
Albany?
Yeah.
Did,
Nope.
and engineering wise, was there anything that Mark had already identified? You know where?
I think
You
Mark.
say you were gonna do something, okay.
Yeah, nothing right now. We need to see a stormwater pollution prevention plan. And then be able to comment on that, so.
Sorry, I thought I had it completed.
Yeah. Okay,
So I think at this point, if the board is comfortable with a positive recommendation to the zoning board, we would ask that for the variance that we presented, and if there's any action on seeker.
No.
Yeah.
Like now? So did you do your application already?
To the zoning board?
Yes.
Not yet.
Okay, so we need an application to
Okay.
do the recommendation.
Understood.
I think we're a little premature. Let's look at what, you know, like some of these things and the stormwater and when we. You know, there may be a point then, maybe the recommendation on, maybe a separate recommendation. and there's something separate on the signs.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a big issue, but
Mhm.
I mean. I don't know, I like if you do the SWIP and you get these things going. It sounds like you can flesh out these plans pretty quickly.
Yeah, we just want to know about the parking and stacking variances before we design the whole set in case it changes.
I mean, I think the general sentiment is, yes, there's support for reducing the required parking on the site. We just gotta find what is that. How do we rationalize what you're proposing?
Sure. And we'll provide that data. Yes.
Is there a way that you could take that inlet, like where you come into your parking lot, and shift it to the bottom of the page more? And I'm only saying that because then you would have room for more stacking and you wouldn't need it.
We looked at that.
Yeah.
So
I
there's,
know it's lining up with another parking lot, you know?
so that's one reason. is
Yeah.
We looked at that and it lines up nicely with the drive aisle that's there today. If we go far enough to line up with the next drive aisle, then the truck circulation is compromised.
Mhm.
That wouldn't work.
Even if you just moved it like 2 spots down, or is that, then it messes up your count, because you don't want them to like come in and then turn.
It creates this like awkward
Too tight of a turn.
nowhere zone here, because then you lose the length of the parking stall rows and then you lose parking. So we're making that condition worse. It just
Like
creates a
stack
very
it
odd.
back up to-
No, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
or even to the parking aisles either, right?
Right, it would just be, you know,
But I can tell you the
yeah, I
current,
see, it would.
the current
Doesn't work.
Block
Taco Bell
circulation.
isn't working, like they do back up right out into.
That other parking
the-
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so and that's essentially the same scenario, right? I mean, and if your chicken is good as it is, you got 2 lines, but it's still.
yeah, because you don't want to end up blocking all of those parking spaces. And it sounds like they move quickly, but we have seen insane like backups for drive-throughs.
Taco Bell doesn't have the second access point like we do, so if people see this is full, like I know I would just drive down to the next and then get in line.
But then you're blocking in all those cars that,
No, because they're single.
No, they're.
oh, they're single.
row.
Okay,
They can back out.
Yep.
yeah. Oh, that is nice.
But is that where that current stop sign is, where your curb cut is?
This one here,
Yeah, is that the 3-way stop sign?
that's what's there today, yes, this is an existing crosswalk.
Yeah. No, that curb cut is not where it is today, correct? That the in-out is exactly where it is today for Taco Bell?
If we flip to the aerial, that's probably easier to see.
Yeah, there you go. Can you scoot?
No, well, doesn't, yeah, Taco Bell's further down,
Slightly further down.
Let's talk about, yes, they're further down.
but I think their
But they
stores
only have
way.
one.
You can move the whole store that way, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the difference.
To the right, but including the in-out followed it. It looks like. If you look at the aerial,
Yeah, it lines up with the.
now it lines up with that intersection, whereas before it was kind of.
Well, if we do the variance for the parking, why couldn't you rotate and have the parking the same layout that it currently is? Like, there's only 3 rows of parking there as well. And then we would be able to keep that attachment
This.
or move it down a little farther. Yeah.
I think.
I only say that because I think that you're gonna have a backup in your drive-through lanes, especially like when sites first open, but.
And I know it doesn't seem like it, but moving it back down there, it just becomes very inefficient for parking for the truck.
Yeah.
And then same thing with turning the spaces based on, we've got they kind of have the length here now, we're gonna have the length here.
Yeah. I'm not a parking person, so I'll stop making those comments anyway.
I appreciate it. Look at it.
But you don't really have control over that road and the areas outside, but it's outside your parcel.
That's outside the parcel.
I mean, I have experience, I mean, people could do blow through that. It's Five Guys and
Yeah.
they blow through the stop sign, like it could be kind of a hairy intersection. We don't want to make it worse. You can have a lot of traffic coming to your site. I think it's a valid question. It's just, we just need to make sure that that intersection still works.
Yeah, do you need to? Could you make it so it's just the further down one? And I'm only saying that because it is kind of a little bit crazy in there. People drive pretty fast for a parking lot in there if you go and visit.
Yeah, the truck wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Did you guys study mirroring the site, putting the restaurant on the south side of the site?
So in looking at that, the most efficient way, we've looked at it pretty much every which way. This is definitely the most efficient, sort of similar to what's out there today. Because the other part is keeping the drive-through to the side and rear. You're kind of limited by this too. So it wants to flow this way.
This is the longest 10 minutes I've ever lived through. I'm joking.
It's true.
Okay.
You're the first. It's good for us to get all this information now and then at least know what you're thinking, because we talked about it earlier this week, but it is good to see where you guys are going with it.
So I think we table this. It's just a concept presentation. There'll be comments. We'll look forward to receiving some additional information from you. I suspect we'll have a work session in order to talk through some of these. So those are on Tuesdays, so schedule that. And then go from there.
But you could start the application and see if that brings up any questions also, things that you need to show, you know, for the variance, like it'll ask questions and it'll give you things that you'll need to represent, and that's what we could talk about in the work session.
Okay, so that you're talking, prepare the variance applications.
I would start that.
Yeah.
Just so then you know the questions that are gonna come up in it. Yeah.
And then ideally, we wouldn't go full speed ahead with like a slip and all that, if you agree, like, just to get a comfort level on the variances first. and
Right, I
this
think
one,
they're yes, I think usually they'll give you like a pretty good comfort level and then
Yeah,
start working.
okay.
Get your information together on that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
you.
See you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the meeting? Yes.
What's down
Favor?
there?
Very good.
Yeah, see, you're not.
So probably they should just.